CNN. Most people have experienced that unfortunate feeling in their gut making them run in search of the nearest bathroom. The cause was most likely a delicious meal the previous day, now deeply regretted in hindsight. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, 48 million Americans, 1 in 6 people, get sick from foodborne illnesses each year, with 128,000 hospitalized and 3,000 dying from consuming contaminated food. In reality, the numbers are likely to be much higher as most people don't visit their doctor due to bouts of diarrhea. They instead prefer to suffer in silence. But if people become complacent with their eating and hygiene habits, the number of infections will go up courtesy of multiple bacteria growing wildly in foods before they're eaten. We've put together 6 common sense ways to avoid food poisoning and the key bacteria behind it, a crib sheet to keep to hand in the kitchen. Food left out at room temperature for hours at a time, be it at home, a cookout, barbecue, a party, or a restaurant buffet, is a prime source of food poisoning. The spores and toxins released by bacteria commonly found on food can flourish at this temperature. The spores thrive in the danger zone of 40 to 140 degrees Fahrenheit, 5 to 60 degrees Celsius, says Gabrielle Judd, a registered dietitian with the University of Maryland Medical Center. Judd works with transplant patients whose reduced immunity puts them at greater risk from infections, increasing the importance of them eating wisely. The main spore-producing bacteria are Clostridium perfringens, among the most common causes of food poisoning in the United States. Another culprit multiplying and producing toxins at room temperature is Bacillus, found commonly in rice, soups, sauces and leftovers. Judd refers to these bugs as cookout bugs as this is a typical situation where food is prepared and left out for hours at a time. Food should not be out for more than 2 hours at a time, she says. On the plus side, infections with these bacteria are unlikely to hospitalize you, but instead leave you poorly for 24 hours. For this same reason, cases of illness often go unreported. So as spring approaches and brings with it potential for weekend cookouts, don't forget to use your refrigerator. At least half of all raw chicken carcasses carry significant levels of Campylobacter, says bacteriologist Andrew Rowe from the University of Glasgow, who states more than 500,000 cases of food poisoning in the UK are caused by these chicken-loving bacteria. This group of bacteria cause the majority of foodborne infections in the developed world as the bacteria are prevalent in the food chain itself. 4 out of 5 cases of food poisoning are from contaminated poultry, says Rowe. Poultry expands beyond chicken, with infection also common in other commonly consumed birds with which people may be less vigilant in terms of hygiene. Turkey and duck are often highly contaminated with Campylobacter, so the advice would be to treat them exactly as you would chicken, says Rowe. Luckily, infection is usually self-controlling, meaning people don't get severely ill but instead recover over time. This low harm associated with infections is why the bacteria are not prioritized for removal from the food chain, unlike Salmonella, which chickens in the UK are now all vaccinated against. The solution? Wash your hands when handling poultry, avoid contaminating surfaces and thoroughly cook your meat. Basically, avoid any risk of raw meat entering your body. The best way to avoid infection is to make sure all chicken is cooked thoroughly, and you have good kitchen practices, says Rowe. Rowe advises to step away from your burger if there is any suspicion about its status as cooked. Minced meat can be a potent source of infection. The danger lies in the grinding together of meat, and the increased likelihood of surface bacteria mixing deep into your meat, unlike with a piece of steak. A steak is an intact piece of meat. Any contamination will be on the surface, says Rowe. Cooking a steak well on the outside therefore reduces your chances of infection, even if it remains rare inside. But with minced meat the bacteria are mixed into the blend. This applies to any form of burger, be it gourmet or a simple slider handed out as a canapé. With ground meat the outside mixes up with all the meat and contaminates the rest, agrees Judd. Burgers, a cookout favorite, combined with the uncontrolled heat of a barbecue through intense, uncontrolled, Flames bring a high risk of being cooked on the outside, but raw in the middle. People can be quite flippant, but these are the times you're increasing your risk, says Rowe. The first thoughts when assigning blame to a bout of food poisoning commonly go towards meat and poultry, but your fruits and vegetables aren't as safe as you think. A 2013 study by the CDC found that 46% of foodborne illnesses in